Hey guys, how's it going? Or hey guys, how's it going? Because I think the intro was just cut off a little bit then. How's it going, guys? Welcome back. It's good to see you all again. Or yeah, let's good to see you all again. That sounds a bit creepy, doesn't it? Being able to like spy on you through the interwebs, like I'm some sort of North Korea or something like that. Um, how's it going, guys? First of all, I hope everyone's doing well. So eighth is available for pre-order tomorrow, 3rd of June. Very exciting. I know a lot of people who are sort of very geared up for it. So I'm hoping that a lot of other people out there as well are sort of hoping of going in there and perhaps pre-ordering the new box set, or at least have an idea of what they're going to do for eighth. Me on I'm still kind of undecided. I've got a mate of mine who's thinking of getting the new starter box set, and I'm thinking of going halves and splitting Primaris Marines for Death Guard. And another part of me going, I don't know what to do. So yeah, that's all fun and games. Uh, but yeah, apart from that, it's all crazy. It is the month of June. It is the month of 8th edition, and is seems to be, people are really excited for it. A lot of YouTubers at the moment have got hold of copies, have been sent copies to do early reviews on it. So there goes my sort of attempt at getting an exclusive, or at least being one of the first ones to get one up. So I'm gonna have to wait for the weekend of the 16th to get hold of my copy, and then do a review for you guys, hopefully. Um, yeah, so there's that. Likewise, the rules have all been leaked. Well, I'll say all. Most of the rules have been leaked. So, you know, I'm sure everyone's had a good look at those, and it seemed really cool. I'm. It's kind of difficult to sort of gauge stuff at the moment. I mean, a lot of people have done videos of taking the rules for a test drive, and that seems really cool. As for me personally, I'm just going to wait until we get hold of the rule book, because there are 3 different ways to play and all sorts of different, sort of shenanigans going on there that you can now, that can affect the game. So I'm just going to wait till I've got the rule book and, one of the mini codec battle tomes or whatever. I don't know what they're calling them. Handbooks, general's handbooks, I guess. I don't know. Wait until I've got one of those in my hands. And yeah, and then perhaps just, have a little sort of game against myself and just sort of get to grips really with the rules. But that's not what I want to talk about today. I don't want to talk about 8th specifically. I want to talk about something that seems to have been on the rise recently, kind of with the build up to 8th. And with the announcement that 7th edition, well, Horus Heresy will basically have some sort of basically 7th edition, some sort of quasi 7th edition rule system maintained for it. And that, yeah, and like I say, these two things have sort of led me to notice it more, which is elitism in wargaming. And it's not really something I ever really thought would be an issue. I thought, wargaming for the most part, for me, wargaming, and this is not meant this is not meant at all in a derogatory fashion, but wargaming is kind of geeky. It is primarily directed at, it's a geeky game. Let's not lie about it. I think a lot of us would describe ourselves as geeks or nerds, and I mean, that's always been who I am. I mean, ever since my youngest years, when everyone else sort of was growing out of Power Rangers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I still really liked it. I was one of the last of my friends to sort of stop liking Pokemon, even though I still loved it all the way. I just these things that I guess are considered okay when you're younger, but as you grow up, become less socially acceptable. I don't know, not socially acceptable, but sort of maybe less mainstream, or perhaps slightly sort of frowned upon as being immature. I still have a massiof passion for them. I've never hidden the fact that I'm a massive Star Trek, Star Wars fan, or sci-fi in general, or fantasy fan. Lord of the Rings has been one of those things that I just have adored for years, as well as a host of other things. Like I say, I mean, I think that it would be fair to say that tabletop wargaming would fall under sort of the title of geek or nerd or whatever. And that, like I say, I own the word. I think it's great to be that. I mean, for me, geek and nerd just means being exceptionally passionate about about stuff, about things things that aren't really, like I say, really picked up upon by the mainstream. That it's our area we can all sort of descend into when life can be a bit rubbish, or can be quite dull, or sometimes a bit brutal. and it's sort of a world we can invest ourselves in and disappear into, and that's awesome. Um, so yeah, like I say, from the elitism popping up in 40k specifically, and Horus Heresy, because those are the two games I most play, is really sort of kind of a little bit sad, I guess. Is I mean, I don't spend my night weeping about it, but it certainly does make me kind of wish it wasn't there, because it does hurt the hobby in a way. And I suppose I should really give an example to at least sort of show what I'm talking about. And I guess for 40k, it would be seeing these comments come up, of people basically overreacting entirely and going, they've ruined Warhammer 40k. Seventh was hardcore. It was meant for it was die hard hardcore. It was meant for us long term players. We've grown up with the game. We've evolved with it. And now eighth, they've just ruined it. I'm gonna take my army and chuck it away or burn it. And you're like, okay. It's and they, like I say, I want to first of all make point out, I'm not straw manning. These are things I've seen written, and as you can imagine, the majority of people who commented back were like, okay, bud, make sure you post it to YouTube so we can have a good laugh. Because trust me, nothing makes you sound more like a crybaby than going, I'm gonna burn my army. Ugh. Yeah, okay, you've already spent the money, dude. Games Workshop don't care. You could have burnt them outside the shop. Games Workshop wouldn't have cared. You've spent your money. You're only making yourself look bad. I just think that those sorts of comments, people thinking they can own the hobby, and then other people jumping on that and going, yeah, man, you tell them. No, don't listen. No one's saying you can't have an opinion. By all means, have an opinion, but rein it in. Be reasonable, because remember, eighth is going to be pivotal, for getting new players to come in, fresh blood, and that's what the hobby always needs. Every edition or every couple of years, we need new players coming into it to make sure there's always going to be that fan base there. If people look on the comment section of a YouTube page, which I imagine a lot of people do now with social networking, because of course you can invest yourself immediately into a community just by going on the internet. If they want to try and get an idea of what it's like, and they see this sort of stuff, these people basically shouting down the edition they plan to jump into, these new players, they're not going to want to do that, thinking half a community hates them, or at least the voices that speak loudest hate them. We need to be welcoming. We need to be creating an environment of inclusivity. Is that a word? If it isn't, I've made it up. People, they need to feel that they're welcome. Like I said, no one should feel that they can't have their opinion. Some people at the moment think it's great, some people don't. What I'm saying is, keep those sort of more towards the realms of reason, at least, and accept that what you're both saying is coming from an opinion. It's subjective, it's not fact. Don't be one of these two, don't be on the either ends of the extreme spectrum. And I mean this as well for people who are kind of jumping up, going, Games Workshop are the best thing ever. This is the best game ever. Oh my God. Because unfortunately, these people who are saying that, when it comes around to 9th edition, are probably going to be the ones again back here going, oh, it's the worst thing ever. Be reasonable, because then when things change, you haven't, the response isn't going to be extreme. I understand it's hard not to let passion sort of overwhelm your reason, because like I said, if this is something you use to escape the mundanities of real life, wargaming, when things change, it can of course be quite, it can be quite harsh, it can be quite hard to deal with, because essentially your coping mechanism is kind of being altered, and that's never a fun thing to sort of have to deal with. But at the same time, understand that this is still going to be a game about armies in the far future fighting one another. Still a game where you use little tiny soldiers and tanks to blow up other people's stuff by rolling dice. The core of it is still there. The heart of 40k is there. It just perhaps beats a little bit differently. But it's still your game. But at the same time, it's going to be someone else's game coming into it. And they need to feel that passion. They need to feel that positivity, They don't want to see the negativity, because, like I say, all that breeds is just more sort of division. And let's face it, there are enough reasons in this hobby to be divided. People who say, I only play painted armies, and people say, a proxy's okay. Can I use a tank as a land raider for a couple games to get an idea of the stats? And there are people who say, you can only use Horus Heresy, kits to play Horus Heresy and stuff like that. there are enough factions in this game, all right, that already can be quite terrifying to a newbie. I remember when I first delved into Horus Heresy, and I'd been playing 40k for about 2 years. Yeah, I've been playing 40k after I came back into 40k. I've been playing it for about 2 years, and then decided to have a look at Horus Heresy. I was aware of it, but I never probably looked into it. And I remember seeing some of the comments and thinking, "Oh my god, these guys are insane." I mean, it genuinely felt like I'd stepped into the sort of the zealot zone of of the community, because people seem to be so hardcore about it. But as Games Workshop pushed, making it more sort of mainstream with regard to the rest of the community by pulling, Horus Heresy into Games Workshop stores with the kits, with the plastic kit, those arguments sort of died out. They became drowned out by the new players coming into Horus Heresy, who loved, wanted to get in on it, but never had the money to afford Forge World kits. But those people, I guess, had already been playing 40k, so for them, they were already aware of what the community could be like. I guess what I'm saying is that brand new players are going to be terrified if they see these people, who think because they've been in this hobby for, 10, 15, 20 plus years, they somehow get to dictate how other people enjoy the game, and that's just not fair. Likewise with, like I said, I did give an example of 30k for Horus Heresy, people going, oh, you have to have exclusively Forge World kits, and I refuse to play anyone, whose armies don't look exactly how they should do. It's you've not even painted them the right shade of yellow or purple or whatever. It's just like, come on, guys. Let's, at the end of the day, we're playing with plastic soldiers on the tabletop. Can we not get past, these little sort of, these little issues, these minor issues, and then just enjoy the fact that we're all here to do the same thing, which is enjoy this game. Because I mean, at the end of the day, and I really do mean this, at the end of all things, if someone's going to really lay into you about, the presentation of your army or what you choose to do with your army or any of that sort of stuff, and if they dare go, well, it's ruining the immersion of the game. Come on, man. It's like, dude, we're playing with 28mm tall plastic soldiers and tanks. That don't even move. There is a fair element of immersion already. If you can't stretch your immersion to just go a little bit beyond that, to accept that someone is perhaps playing an army of entirely unpainted Space Marines, come on, man. Just it's exasperating. It really is. Let's just be positive, and let's just sort of accept the fact that not everyone's good at painting or making or even playing the game, but let's just have a degree of patience and try and enjoy the fact that we're all there to at least, invest in the lore and, share our passion for the fact that we enjoy the grim dark tales of the far future of the 41st millennium. Because isn't that, I mean, to be fair, let's face it, a strong community means a strong business for Games Workshop, and that means they're going to keep on making good stuff. And I'm not shilling for GW. So many videos at the moment seem like I'm shilling out for GW. I'm not really. I just genuinely feel that as someone who has, been ushered into the game by other people who already were in the hobby, and as someone who has helped other people be ushered into the game as a member of it myself already, nothing is worse than for those people trying to get into a game to be met with hostility. Not necessarily directed at them, but just whenever you see someone making these wide sweeping accusations or these, making statements based on zero evidence, it's just, for a new player, it must be like, wow, okay, I'm going to leave that, I think. We've just got to remember that what we say, especially if it's on the internet, can echo for eternity. That's a Gladiator line. Guess what I watched last night? And it is, those comments will be there forever unless they're deleted by the admin, but for the most part they can be left there forever. Someone's going to read that at some point, and if they are brand new to the hobby, it can be quite a turn off. And I guess that's what I'm saying. Just control yourself. Have some self-control. We're adults. That's what you kind of have to do when you're a grown-up. Otherwise everyone will be out murdering one another over the smallest thing. Just control yourself and just remember that, what you say can affect someone else, and it can lead to them sort of thinking about just chucking the game in altogether. And I don't want to see that happen because it would suck. And no one's got the right to be elite over, being elitist over this game, because everyone pays to own the models they have, I would hope. Hopefully everyone would be at least, buying kits that have come from Games Workshop. No one's buying recasts, I mean, my opinion on that is for another video, but, personally, I think, it's the money should go to, in some way, supporting Games Workshop at least. And yeah, it's just, just as a community, be conscious of how we present ourselves, because we don't want to be just seen as sort of angry neckbeards. We want to be seen as, and I can say neckbeards because look, there is zero connection there. I mean, there are a couple strands of hair, but I mean, let's face it, there's this. I'm nearly 27. This is never getting better. I will never have a rugged Aragorn beard. I have to accept that fact. A harsh reality, I know. So yeah, that we just have to don't portray ourselves as the stereotypical angry sort of gamer hiding in his basement. Show a different face to what people expect to find, and that will help, I'm sure, in the future bring in, new players and help the hobby prosper. Games Workshop is now in the black. They're no longer in the red. Let's kind of, with our attitude to gaming, let's kind of do the same thing, because I do genuinely sometimes worry that we are, for all the steps we make forward, we sometimes take a couple steps back. So there you go, guys. Like I say, this is all my opinion. It's all subjective. If you share the same opinion, feel free to comment. If you don't worry about it. I mean, still share your comment, but I'm not going to be like, he's got a different opinion. Let's talk about it. So thanks very much, guys, for watching. Hope you're all well. Hope you're all doing good. I will catch you all at some other point close to the release of 8th. Until then, yes, be you. I'm the Scrumpy Kiwi, guys. Catch you later. Bye-bye.